if you want to look good and feel good, you've got to be intending to do the good things and to be intending to do the right things, not just for you, but for the higher good, that which is most high. And so today I want to talk about, in this Semen Retention Sunday episode, which I haven't done a Semen Retention Sunday for quite some time now, but I want to do this video because I've seen a lot of people commenting about, in the past, on these SR videos, that they're not getting certain benefits, or they're not really seeing the benefits of semen retention and what they've heard play out a certain way. They've heard certain things, they're not getting those things, so what's the point of doing semen retention? I might as well just go back to playing with myself, right? And I think to myself, as I see those kinds of comments, I think you're probably not doing it for the right reasons. Because SR is only valuable if you are intending to grow closer to God ultimately at the end of the day. Will you get all of these benefits of attracting women, of financial independence, of more unburdening of emotional sorrow? 100%. But that only comes if you actually want to grow close to God. And if you don't actually want to grow close to God, then you're probably not going to get those benefits. You see, if you're doing something righteous, let's say, but you're doing it for the purposes of vain reward or vain rewards, you're not going to actually get those righteous qualities being enhanced in your life. You're actually not going to get that which is favorable to God to appear in your life, because you're not actually doing it because you want to grow closer to God and be in accordance to the will of the Most High. What you're wanting to do is get some kind of materialistic benefit or some kind of pleasure satisfying your fleshly desires. So if you do that kind of a thing, you're not going to get very far, and you're not really understanding the purpose for this. And this goes for celibacy in general, right? This goes for women that are practicing celibacy. Women tend to, at least from what I've seen, whenever they are practicing purity, they're doing it mostly consciously. They're doing it for a very intentional reason. Because they could get anybody they want most of the time. All a woman has to do is really open her legs, and most men, because most men are really pathetic simps sometimes, which is so crazy because so many men know that if they behave a certain way, they're going to lose the leverage in the relationship. And all men at their core, and women too, but all men know at their core that if they lose the leverage in the relationship, their relationship is done. They don't have a relationship anymore. A woman must respect you as a man, and if she doesn't, you're going to lose that leverage in relationship altogether. And that's not really something we want to see happen here, so this is why we're making videos like this, to ensure that that kind of stuff doesn't happen. See, in a healthy relationship, it is about sacrificing to the other person, but both people have to be doing that for the relationship to exist, right? In Buddhism, which I'm not Buddhist, I follow Jesus, but I think that there's a wise understanding and philosophy from Buddhism. It says that if a thing is true but not beneficial, know when to say it. If a thing is true and beneficial, know when to say it. And if a thing is not true and not beneficial, don't say it. And I really like that, because it goes a lot to show the power within relationships. And it also says that you exist in the relationship. You're not just there with that person. You're a part of the entity that is the relationship. And if you can understand that, then you're going to get much further in life altogether, because then there's a sense of loyalty and of dignity that you have to portray to the other person. And if you don't, then that relationship, there is none. Like, you exist in the relationship, and so does the other person. So if you cannot exist in the relationship with the other person, then there is no relationship, right? Well, what does this have to do with SR? Well, it has to do with everything, because if you don't have the ability to discipline yourself, how the hell do you think that you're going to have the discipline to be responsible for somebody else? There's no way. There's something that Jocko Willink has said, who's a U.S. Navy SEAL, ex-Navy SEAL, and he says that discipline equals freedom. And a lot of the people that don't really understand that are going to look at discipline and think to themselves how much work is involved, etc. And it's true, there's a lot of work that's involved with discipline, but the alternative to being undisciplined, or to being disciplined rather, is being undisciplined. And what exactly does that equal? Well, it doesn't equal freedom, that's for sure. It equals chaos. There's a difference between freedom and chaos. You can have chaos and freedom, but you can't always have freedom and chaos. And so if you think that having a certain pontification of freedom without responsibility and discipline is going to get you to a respectable place in life, you're gravely mistaken. And I know this because I tried that once as well, many years ago. I wanted respect. I wanted people to respect me. I had no respect for most of my life. In fact, I felt violated most of my life. I felt emotionally abused most of my life. And most men are these things, and I'm not saying that I had it the worst, but I'm not saying I had it the best either. People, even watching my videos, have said some things that I thought to myself, wow, you know, that's just really something to go through, and my heart goes out to that kind of person that has been through those kind of terrible things and has made it out on the other side a better person, even though it's not necessarily the most fun thing to be a part of. You're still actively living a prosperous life or striving to do so, and that's commendable. That's a big bird. Holy cow. But anyway, as I was saying, when you are practicing SR, which is the most fundamental form of discipline a man can really have, and celibacy in general for men and women, because our fleshly desires are so powerful, and they're so in our face all the time, especially nowadays with all the temptations. Temptations are everywhere. Temptations are everywhere you look. I mean, you just walk down the street and there will be somebody with blue hair wearing practically nothing, with nose piercings and all that shit, and you're just like, ugh, like, how do people live like that? How do people think that that's attractive? You go to the gym and you see all these women in tight clothes, and there's never a woman that is I shouldn't say never, there's hardly any women, because I've seen modest women at the gym, and those kinds of women, if they do even wear like tight clothes, they usually have a sweater or something that they wrap around their waist so that people can't see their behind. Whereas you have the other kinds of women who are even married. Like, that just doesn't make sense to me either. If you're a man and your woman is dressing like she's available, do you understand what that signifies? Like, do you really understand what that signifies? That means that you don't have boundaries. And you have to understand, on SR, the more you grow closer to God, the more magnetized your aura and your spirit is going to become. I hear you yapping. I hear you. That same big bird is just yapping away, man. Holy cow. Anyway, I'll be wrapping this video up here pretty quick, but if you're a man and you think that a woman dressing like she's available is okay, like, oh, a woman should be able to dress however she wants, guess what? You're part of the problem. You're part of the problem in our society. And you know, if you want to let your woman act like she's single while she's in a relationship with you, go ahead, but don't get upset and don't be surprised when you find out years later, or even just tomorrow, that she's been actively engaging in relationships with other men, and not the kind of relationships that are long lasting. These are flings, okay? As a man, we have to take ownership of our relationships, and we have to take a proper management approach when we have our relationships with people, especially with our women. If we don't have proper relationships with women, it's not going to work out. It's not going to work. So you've got to take full ownership of the situation and take control of the situation. And the only way that you can do that is by maintaining your boundaries and having self-control. And one of the ways that you can do that is SR, and growing close to God, because the more you grow close to God, the easier it is going to be for you to have boundaries. But anyways, guys, I got to get to the gym here, and I've got some other projects to work on. And then we've got some calls and some meetings later, so it's going to be a full-filled day. I hope you all have a blessed day, and peace be with you. Till next time.